Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer in Memphis, Tennessee. And you can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, and a follow. Please, please, please. Our personal Twitters at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is out with a dinner event tonight, and at LG for real though for Larry, the voice of the now Rome Emperors, who were rebranded from the Rome Braves tonight, and he is doing his PA voice duties, rebranding to the Rome Emperors. Great name. I absolutely love it. Going with the Roman Empire theme and very cool uniforms. You can see them on the YouTube right there on your screen. And I just think they're doing a wonderful job up there in Rome with the Single A Braves organization. Wayne, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Memphis basketball is just outside the rankings. I think they're 26-1 and 28 in another. We play Alabama State tomorrow or tonight if you're watching this on Friday. And I'm going to be at that game. And then after that, it's a battle for Atlantis, and we'll get to play the Wolverines.
Yeah, it should be a fun weekend of college basketball and college football for you. I'm doing well. Just waiting for someone to pay me $70+ million to leave my job, Wayne. But also a big congratulations to the unanimous MVPs, National League MVP Ronald Acuna Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Shh. Shh. For a reason. Unanimous MVP yet again for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
And that's his second MVP, I should say it like that. And the Braves' 8th MVP overall, and the first since Freddie Freeman. So big hats off to Ronald Acuna Jr., hopefully the first of many most valuable players. What's on tap for today? The latest from Ann Arbor and other news and notes from around college football. And we will talk about what our Falcons should do at quarterback and moving forward in the regular season, Wayne. We got some questioning to do with that team. And, of course, our famous Pick Six. Just you and me tonight, buddy. Let's kick it off with some college football. The latest college football rankings are out. Jim Harbaugh has been suspended. His remaining 2 games. Let's go over the latest news and notes from college football. Quick first news and note. The NCAA got it wrong with James Madison and Jacksonville State as their waivers for bowl eligibility have been rejected. Absolutely stupid. I hate the rule. I can't believe it that when you have accomplished enough before the 2 years of the transition period that they're hindering you from doing good things. You won't see Washington. You won't see Oregon. You won't see USC or UCLA suffer a bowl ban moving from the West to the East in the Big Ten. So why punish a school that's doing good? Shame on them. Also, let's go with the Jim Harbaugh story. It's huge news, and it broke earlier today, Thursday. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have accepted the Big Ten's 3-game suspension. What will this mean for the Wolverines going forward? Basically, it kind of, like Jim Harbaugh said, it puts the attention back on the student athlete. I think he saw moving forward that the writing on the wall was their argument that due process and this and that weren't going to be recognized. I think the Big Ten moved forward saying there was enough evidence, and I think Michigan took one on the chin and said, you know what, before this gets out of hand, and maybe we lose Jim Harbaugh for the Big Ten championship game and beyond if they're in the college football playoff. I think they just took this one on the chin, Wayne, and said, hey, you know what? This might not be a bad thing. We suspend him for 2 games. He's off the sideline. He still gets to put his game plan in, implement that on Monday through Friday, and get his hands on the program as much as he possibly can before handing it off to the offensive coordinator, who had a hell of a soundbite last week after the win versus Penn State. And let me tell you something, Wayne. I think this won't affect this team at all. I think it's going to put another chip on their shoulder. I think they'll be extremely motivated to play for Coach Harbaugh, Coach Harbaugh, as we saw last week when they ran 32 consecutive times from the end of the first half all the way through the second half, not throwing a single football. And I think it's awesome because it just showed them, hey, here's our plays. This is what we're running, and you got to stop it. And Penn State obviously did not. So I think moving forward, I think Michigan will be just fine. I think Harbaugh will be able to put his game plan in place. And again, have enough hands-on feel throughout the week to where Saturday comes and it's just status quo. Georgia's back atop the college football playoff polls. Who do you think gets in? Wayne, I'll go with you first. I'm interested in your opinion. We did this at the beginning of the year, and I'd have to go back, but I'm pretty sure I had Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama in there.
Yeah.
I think I went 2-2, and I'm only wrong on two of them. But boy, what an interesting football season has been. Still a lot of football to be played, but what do you think are going to be the Final Four, Wayne?
Well, before I give you my Final Four, I'm going to go ahead and tell you who I had at the start of the year going into the Final Four. I had, now don't start laughing too early because, all right, I had South Carolina, Miami, Penn State, and Washington. So obvious, I'm going to have Washington still in there. But I'm going to go with Georgia, Washington, Florida State, and Ohio State, because I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan.
Ooh, I like it. I'm going with Georgia. I think Michigan will win out. Again, they're motivated. They're ready to play football. I got Oregon beating Washington in that late showdown. I think if Dan Lanning doesn't get greedy on fourth down in the first matchup, I think they may be undefeated, and Washington might be the one-loss team. And I'm sticking with FSU, but I'm not really hot on FSU. I think there's some crazy scenarios out there where you could see FSU maybe drop one to Florida in their rivalry game, where Florida's trying to bounce back and get bowl eligible here the last two games.
Don't put too much money on that one.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying things can happen. So, and Florida State has looked beatable the last couple of weeks. Look, Texas can sneak back in there if they win the Big 12 championship. Georgia takes care of business, knocks Alabama out of the way. Washington and Oregon both lose, which is very possible. Washington's got a very tough game that we're picking in the Pick Six this weekend, and I think they might drop that one. That's another reason why I put Oregon in there. I think Oregon wins out and wins the final year of the Pac-12. Also, some other Pac-12 news. It looks like right now the Pac-2 is going to be a Power 5 conference. That's a conversation for a different day, but I figured I need to get it in there since we're talking about the Pac-12.
Right. Well,
Pac-2.
The Pac-2, I had thought at one moment it was going to be Pac-4, but Pac-2, hey, will that help them out in the basketball when it's time to pick for the champion NCAA tournament?
I just really hope it stays the Pac-2. I know it's not. They're going to bring people into the conference, or they're going to consolidate the conference, consolidate it with another conference. They're going to merge together. Something is going to happen. But how funny would it be if they just got the power and they're like, all right, you guys are playing each other 8 times. The winner goes to the Pac-12 championship game and plays you guys yet again for a 9th time, because we got to have the TV deal in place, right?
Right. But hey, what is the how firm is the Mountain West? Because they might just get consumed.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Todd off air. I've called for this the whole time, because if they go to court and they get the power of the other conference members down to 2, they're going to have some power. They're going to have some TV rights money to come in and maybe make a play at buying some teams out from other conferences. Maybe they lower the academic standards and let San Diego State in. Maybe they combine. They have a big basketball, small football conference. There's lots open. But again, my top 4 is going to be Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and FSU. And you have Georgia, Washington, Ohio State, and Florida State, correct? Right. So, guys, that wraps up our college football playoff segment. Let's move over. 2 coaches in the SEC have been let go. hence my little sly dig at the beginning of the show. Mississippi State and Texas A&M jobs are now open after Zach Arnett and Jimbo Fisher have been fired. Who do you think they should go after? Look, for me, I think an easy fit in Texas A&M and College Station. Not a lot of people are talking about it. I think it's offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner. He's got former Texas A&M quarterback Haynes King in the top 35, about 31, I think, in passing yards in college football. And look what that Georgia Tech team has done in just a year under Buster Faulkner. They've increased the offense, increased the production through the air, and that offense looks actually legitimate, Wayne, in which it hasn't been in the last 15, 20 years, where you could throw the ball deep down the field. So I personally think that'd be a great hire. Again, the Texas A&M former quarterback coming over to Georgia Tech and doing well. And then look at his track record here in the state of Georgia, going all the way back to high school in 1997 as a sophomore quarterback at Parkview High School. When he took us to a state title.
Yeah.
13-2, first one in school history. And he went from there to Valdosta State, won a national championship as a player, as a quarterback. Then obviously the 2 national championships at UGA as an offensive analyst / co-offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. Well, not co-offensive coordinator, but he had his handprints. Quarterback coach, had Stetson Bennett as a walk-on to a New York Heisman finalist. This guy's got a great coaching accolade. Did pretty well at Southern Mississippi. Again, everywhere he's gone, he's won, Wayne. And especially in the state of Georgia, he's got great recruiting ties here. And there's a lot of bad boys that come out of this state. So I think the perfect fit for me is Buster Faulkner, because he's not going to have that high-profile contract where you just spent $70+ million getting a guy out of there. And I think it'll ignite the fan base and say, hey, you know what? I see this guy, what he's done. Get him grumbling, get him moaning, get him foddering back and forth. But I think they wanted to jump on their guy, and I do think they'll throw money at all the big names first. I have to admit that. I think they're going to go after the Urban Meyers, the Dan Lannings, who we've already said, the Lane Kiffins. They're all going to be mentioned. But I think a perfect fit would be Buster Faulkner.
Yeah.
So that's my one job. Number 2, look, if I'm Mississippi State, my number one guy is, if you can talk the fan base into bringing Dan Mullen back, I think it'd be a great fit. The guy was there for 8-9 seasons, and all he did was win.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, Wayne, the very first college football playoff rankings had who at number 1?
Yeah.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs with Dan Mullen and Dak Prescott. So He knows how to win in Stark Vegas, or Starkville, as I like to call Stark Vegas.
Yeah.
But look, I think that'd be a really good fit at Mississippi State. Dan Mullen slides over, has the SEC experience, and he can bring a big name player or 2 in, and he is a great X's and O's guy, but he's going to have to get a guy that can recruit with him as well and do that foot on the ground, walking into mom and dad's houses saying, hey, come to Mississippi State. He's going to have to get a little bit better at recruiting, or bring a guy that can recruit at an elite level with him as an offensive coordinator. But I think those are my 2 top guys. Bring Dan Mullen back if they're willing to do that. And obviously Mississippi State's got a couple of, Buster Faulkner could go there as well if he wants to do that. Then you have guys like Glenn Schulman at Georgia. He may get a call as a young defensive coordinator for Georgia. He may get that transition. Maybe people are talking and going back to Texas A&M. Maybe Texas A&M tries to lure Dabo Swinney over there. But the possibilities are endless in Starkville and in College Station, because you're in the SEC. Oklahoma and Texas are coming in. More money's coming in. And I just think nothing but good will come out of a hire with Buster Faulkner for A&M and bringing Dan Mullen back. I think those are the 2 best moves. And again, both these schools are going to throw the money at the big guys and this and that. But I think with the lack of consistency at head coach for Mississippi State, they want to go back to someone that won consistently and got them to the top of the SEC West at one point, and nearly was knocking on that SEC championship door with Dan Mullen. Wayne, any thoughts on Mississippi State or A&M head coaching vacancies? I know
Well,
you said no at the beginning of the show, but it's a fun topic.
yeah, I've got actually three guys that I think would fit at either one of those schools, depending on how much money they've got to spend. One of them is a former Memphis coach who was at Georgia Tech or not Georgia, Virginia Tech for a while, Justin Fuente. I
Yeah.
think he's available. He's like an analyst somewhere in the Big Ten. Another one would be Derek Dooley, who's working under Saban right now. And the third is a coordinator for I think it's North Carolina, Gene Chiswick.
Yeah, defensive coordinator there.
Yeah.
He's won a national championship as a head coach at Auburn, won a national championship as a defensive coordinator with Mac Brown at Texas,
Yeah.
and that epic Rose Bowl with Vince Young. Those are great candidates, and
Yeah.
every name you say in this, nobody really knows except the ADs.
Right.
But it's all fun and games to
Right.
to
Think about
mention
it.
these names, folks. So bear with us, and we'll see who the Aggies and the Bulldogs hire in the upcoming coaching process. And again, I want to get it in one more time. Shame on the NCAA for not allowing the bowl eligibility waiver to be accepted for James Madison and Jacksonville State. Had to put it in there twice.
Yeah.
It's kind of irking me. Let's move over to the NFL, Wayne. The NFL, that means we're talking Falcons. Moment of silence for those three losses in a row to first-time starting quarterbacks during the season. After that, the Falcons are now 4-6 and still have a shot at the NFC South. What should the Falcons do at quarterback moving forward? Wayne, I'll let you tee this one up.
I think they just got to go back with Ritter, tell him to straighten himself up, and tell those receivers to start playing to the ball instead of, expecting them to like throw it into their hip pocket or something.
I'm with you. I think throw Ritter in there, see what you got. I think you've hit your ceiling with Heineke. I think Heineke can get the ball.
Heineke, I think, is on the injured reserve right now, isn't he?
I know he got injured. I hadn't seen the news yet about that. If you could,
it might not be out yet. I might just be guessing.
Yeah, look that up right quick for us. I hadn't seen that news yet, but I will tell you this much. I do think Ritter's the answer. I think you let the guy grow as much as he possibly can the rest of the season. See if he can develop the deep ball. See if he can develop the chemistry with Drake London, Scotty Miller, Matt Collins, and so on and so forth. Jonnu Smith. See if he can develop the chemistry. See if he can develop a deep ball. See if he can develop the feel for this Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith offense to where you can maybe stay in it to the very end, and maybe you pull away, you win the division. I mean, they're undefeated in the division. They're 2-0 in the division right now, Wayne. So I'm with you. I would go Desmond Ritter, ride out the bumps, the bruises, and see if you find a diamond in the rough. Because if you do, you can build around them for years to come. And right now, I think the Falcons are picking 10th in the NFL draft if we were to cut the season short today. So I think ride with Ritter, as our co-host Larry Gardner would say. He's been riding with Ritter. I think you ride with Ritter and you take the lumps and you say, look, this guy's going to either develop with us or we're going to be in the top 10 and we're going to try and do everything we can to get a quarterback. Now, here is another wrench in the thing. Tannehill, Arthur Smith's former quarterback in Tennessee, are rumors now that they're just going to move forward with Will Levis and maybe waive Ryan Tannehill. Did the Falcons spend a couple extra bucks and go get Ryan Tannehill and feel like if he came in, knowing the vocabulary of the offense, would he be able to come in and get this division won for the Atlanta Falcons? Because the Falcons aren't a Super Bowl contender by any means, but I think the Atlanta fan base would love to see a division banner hung up next year and have some momentum going into the offseason for a change, which we felt like in Atlanta has not happened since the Super Bowl, the season prior to the Super Bowl. So I think we're both on the same page. I can't speak for Larry and TC, but TC kind of echoed the same thing back off air. He said, I would ride with Ritter because you know what you got with Heineke. You're going to win some games. You're going to be in the game. but he's not your answer either moving forward down the future. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl if that's the goal for Arthur Blank in this Atlanta Falcons franchise. So ride with Ritter, see what you got, see if he develops into that diamond in the rough.
Yeah,
That we
and
all hope to
update on the Heineke thing there. It's been said that he has a low grade hamstring, so it's chance that he might be available, but I don't know that I put him in there. What happened to that quarterback who used to be at Arkansas? You know, the one that also played running back or something.
Oh, Felipe.
Yeah, Felipe Franks.
He did not make the 53-man roster at the beginning of the season. I believe they did cut him. And I'm not sure if he's in the NFL right now, but boy, he was a good athlete overall and tall, big arm. And I was hoping he would be a our Taysom Hill here in Atlanta. A fun guy that run it on the outside, maybe throw a deep ball or take one in between the tackles at the goal line or something. He was about 6'6", so he's a big guy. But yeah. Guys, that wraps it up. Let's get to it's time. It's time for the ATL Prime Sports Pick 6. We pick 6 football games. Lines and spreads are from Monday per Caesar Sportsbook. This week it's 3-3 again, and it's Southern Methodist 8-2 traveling to the old Liberty Bowl, Wayne. Take on your Memphis Tigers at 8-2. Battle for AAC championship game possibilities. SMU comes in road favorites at 8.5 points. Over under in this one's extremely high, 66.5. Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN2. Wayne, I'll let you pick your Tigers first. Tell us why.
Well, I'm picking Memphis, of course, because that's just what I'm going to do. But, you know, they're giving SMU 8.5 points, and that's pretty big, especially when you look back at some of Memphis's close games. It's just been trading the football back and forth, and whoever has it last will win. So 8.5 is a pretty big spread, but I'd pick Memphis even if there wasn't, even if they weren't getting the points. The last time SMU was here, they did sell out the Liberty Bowl, and I was at that game. I think it was 2020, and it was, I want to say it was before all of the virus stuff kicked in. Or
right there, yeah.
Something like that.
It's
2019, 2020, something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting line to me. They're begging you to take.
Yeah.
They're begging you to take Memphis, and usually SMU is the team that covers in that situation. But together, these teams combine for over 900 yards of offense per game. SMU is top 10 in scoring offense and defense, one of the few teams in the country that can say that. But Memphis can score with the best of them, as you know, Wayne. And look, earlier Memphis played Missouri and St. Louis, lost by, 8 points? Single possession?
I think it was less than that. I think it may have been 5 or something like that. It was a pretty close game.
It was a single possession game, and look where Missouri is now, top 10 team in the country. So I think this is a last possession wins the game type of game here. I'm going with the Tigers and the points. So I'm like you, Wayne. They're giving me points here. SMU very well may win this game by 9 and make us look like idiots, but I just think it's going to be a one-possession game. Memphis has proved that they can keep their offense on the field, extending drives on third down and making the necessary plays. I'm going with the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah.
You have Larry going with the Mustangs to cover, and Todd is taking the Tigers as well. So we got 3 Tigers, 1 Mustangs. Let's go to the second game. Number 5, Washington, undefeated at 10-0, travels to Corvallis, Oregon, to take on the number 11 Oregon State Beavers at 8-2. This is probably the game of the weekend. Oregon State minus 1.5 home favorites. Over under in this one, another high baller at 63 and a hook. 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Oregon State has a solid defense, only allowing 20.5 points per game, right around it. Also can score well enough to keep them in this game. Washington has close wins at Arizona, which is a pretty good team, but versus Arizona State, who's a 3-win team, and versus Oregon and Utah. So they've had a lot of close games go their way, and I don't believe they come out of Corvallis with the W this time, Wayne. I'm going with, in my opinion, they're the betting favorite, but in my opinion, they're the underdog in terms of rankings in this game. I believe DJ Uiagalelei will make enough plays to win this game outright. Oregon State covers. What say you?
Well, I'm taking Washington in this one, obviously, because I've been hoping that all Washington goes undefeated. But I don't know. Oregon State is one of those teams that you can't really, you never know. The only thing I know for sure on this game is I don't think that you're going to have to bet the under on this one.
Yeah, it's a very high number. I
Yeah.
think both defenses will show up and play. This might be a 31-30 type ball game. I think this may be a last-second field goal type game. It's got that feel to it. But again, I'm going Oregon State and the Beavers. Larry's taking the Huskies as well as TC.
Wow.
Our third game, final college game, bowl eligibility battle. Syracuse 5-5 travels to the Flats to take on Georgia Tech, also 5-5. Georgia Tech's a 6.5-point home favorite.
Yep.
Key word there, 6.5-point home favorite. Over under on this one's 53.5, 8 o'clock p.m. on the ACC network. Look, Georgia Tech and offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner are averaging 32 points a game. Unbelievable. Georgia hasn't scored that many points. Georgia Tech hasn't scored that many points in, I bet you clearly 5 years. Easily 5 years, more than that even.
Yeah.
So they're putting points on the board. Haynes King is in the top 35 in passing. Syracuse is yet to beat a winning football bowl subdivision team. For that reason, give me the Jackets to cover and go bowling because they're not winning next week versus the Dogs. I like the Jackets to play motivated and win by a touchdown at home and get that home crowd ready to go for next season. Obviously, we don't want anything to do with an upset next weekend. But
right.
This weekend, I like the Jackets to cover. Wayne, what you got?
Well, if anybody would have told me at the beginning of this year that I was going to be picking Georgia Tech over Syracuse, I would have probably fell off my chair laughing. But I'm going to do it. I'm taking Georgia Tech to cover on this one. I think they've got a nice head of steam behind them, and I think they're motivated to win at home before they get the pants beat off of them next week.
Yeah, this is their Super Bowl right here. If you're Georgia Tech, TC is taking Cuse and the points, and Larry's doing what we're doing, going Georgia Tech at home. Let's get to the NFL. Guys, this game has kicked off as we speak. We have not seen the score, so we're not going to say it. Bengals 5-4 travel to Baltimore for Thursday Night Football and take on the 7-3 Ravens. Baltimore's a 3.5-point favorite. Over under in this one's 46 and a hook. Again, it's Thursday Night Football airing right now on Amazon Prime. Joe Burrow and the Bengals need a W, but Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team are top 5 in defense and offense. I think this one's close and takes a last-second Justin Tucker field goal for the W. Give me the Bengals and the points. But I think the Ravens win by a single digit, 1 point. I think a 31-30. I think this will be a little bit more high scoring than we've seen on Thursday night simply because divisional battle and playoff battle. All these teams are in the playoffs right now in the AFC North. So it's going to be very fun to watch these 4 teams going down the stretch. But I do got the Bengals and the points tonight. Ravens win. Bengals. Maybe it's a 3-point game, but that's in favor of the hook.
Yeah.
Wayne, what say you?
I'm taking the Ravens to cover on this one because I've been picking against them every time this year, and I've lost every one of them. So I'm going to pick for them this time and see if that helps me out any.
Larry and Larry's going with the Ravens. TC's going with myself. We're taking the Bengals and those pesky points. Again, Larry Ravens, TC Bengals and the points. Number 5 or 5th game of the Pick 6, the 6-3 Steelers travel to Cleveland and take on the 6-3 Browns. Cleveland's 3.5-point favorites. That line has since shifted with the news of the Deshaun Watson injury, but remember, we play this game with Monday spreads, folks. Over-under on this one's extremely low at 37 and a hook. Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. on CBS. No Deshaun Watson. Again, as news broke earlier this week, he will undergo season-ending shoulder surgery. This could affect the outcome of this one. Again, the line did move down from 3.5 to -1 in favor of the Browns. 2 good defenses going. coin flip type of game here. The lack of offense for Pittsburgh this year is why I'm taking the Browns. P.J. Walker beat the 49ers at home earlier this year. I think the Browns beat the Steelers with their run game. I think Amari Cooper gets on track with P.J. Walker. And who knows? Maybe these guys make a move for a quarterback if Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo get waived. Some of these quarterbacks that have been benched throughout the year. So, again, I will take the Cleveland Browns to cover the 3.5 at home. Wayne, what say you?
I'm taking the Browns as well to cover. I just like the Browns at home. And one thing I want to mention, though, is as far as Cleveland Brown games go, I wish they had a drone camera that would just circle the stadium and keep an eye on the fans, because I like to watch those Cleveland fans go nuts, because they are probably one of the most rowdiest crowds, and fun to watch. A little bit more fun to watch than Seattle. I know they're pretty rowdy too.
Yeah, I've been saying it all year round. You can go check out the Twitter feed. I've been saying Browns Lions Super Bowl. I want it. Do I think it's going to happen? Hell no. But I definitely want it to happen. I mean, they're both in position to get to the playoffs right now, and that'd be just an impressive story. Get two birds out of there, kill two birds with one stone. Get two of them to the Super Bowl at once. So be pretty fun for the NFL. TC is taking the Steelers.
Of course.
And Larry's taking the Browns to cover as well.
All right.
Sixth and final game of the weekend, a doozy of a game on Monday Night Football. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Eagles 8-1, Chiefs 7-2. They're calling this one the Taylor Swift, the Trailer Bowl, or whatever it is, Taylor Swift Bowl. And Kansas City's 3-point home favorites, over under, and this one's 45. Again, Monday Night Football, 8:15 on ABC. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm going to take the Eagles because they got two former Memphis players on there, and I seem to always pick against the Chiefs, and it's helped me out a few times. That over-under, though, is making me curious. Does Vegas know if or if not Taylor is going to be there at the game?
That's a good question. It
because
really does
if she's there, that over-under needs to be higher.
It does. She's good for 10 points, according to ESPN stats and information. This is a tough one. Larry's going with the Eagles. TC's going with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles, but now I want to change my pick because we're all going with the Eagles. So I'm a little worried about that one, but I do think defense travels and a motivated Eagles team takes over. They will come into this game with the sour taste in the mouth. This is a motivational rematch and a mental hurdle to get over if you're the Eagles trying to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that would become Jalen Hurts if he did. Fast forwarding would be really cool if Jalen Hurts was the first quarterback to lose the Super Bowl and get back. But again, Chiefs defense comes in as second in the NFL at 15.9 points per game. Eagles offense is third in the NFL, 28 points per game. So it's a give or take battle, and I'm going to go with the offense this time. And it's that type of game. So we're all going Eagles to cover the point spread. Well, Eagles and the points, really. Wayne, let's get to our final thoughts, man. I'm going back to shame on the NCAA. First off, again, it's the third time I'll say it. I know it, but it means that much to it. First off, they didn't allow JMU or JSU to go bowling because of a 2-year transition rule. Now they suspend Ferris State head coach Tony Annese for players smoking cigars in celebration of last year's championship in the locker room. But we allow Alabama and Tennessee to light up on the field. Nothing happens to Nick Saban. Nothing happens to Josh Heupel. But down a lowly FCS level, Ferris State loses their head coach for a game. So what are we doing here, NCAA? Get off my lawn here. You don't allow a team to go bowling when they're clearly meet the status necessary to become bowl eligible. And then you fire a suspension at this Ferris State head coach when you allow smoking cigars in the locker room for the third Saturday in October rivalry. Please, someone throw me a bone here. That's my final thought. Wayne, what say you?
Well, my final thoughts are going to be focused on this basketball season that's coming up, and I've already mentioned Memphis has a game, but I know we sometimes touch on the HBCU schools, and we played preseason, exhibition games against two of them, and I want to tell you, the Lamo and Owen Magicians looked really pretty good, and I think as far as the SIAC goes, they're going to be a pretty tough team.
Yeah, they will be. They will be. Should be a fun matchup to watch. Folks, we may or may not do a show next week. We are in limbo, so I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving and happy holidays. I know Diwali's going on and everything, so happy holiday season and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. For Wayne in Memphis, for Larry in Adairsville, TC up in Woodstock. This has been ATL Prime Sports. If you like the content, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Get you one.